guys, so welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you are new. For those of you that are new, my name is Anna and this is At Home with Anna. I'm inside because it's really loud out. Ernie's mowing the lawn, but we are doing some garden maintenance and doing something a little fun with, or a trial, I should say. It's fun if it works out. If not, I haven't lost anything, but I have some hydrangeas. I think I may have added too much fertilizer too close together. Because a couple of my hydrangea leaves, they're recovering now, they're doing good now, but the leaves on them just aren't looking great. So my first time gardening with hydrangeas, any tips or tricks with those I would love. The ones in the front are doing fabulous. We're going to do a garden tour. I'm going to show you everything and how it's growing and all of that. It's really hot and muggy, as you can see. My neighbor's out of town, so I've been watering for her. Just came back from doing that, and I pulled some weeds in the front yard, and some big weeds in the front yard. They grow so fast here. I feel like one day I don't see them, and the next day they're like 2 feet tall. So, which is good. And they're they're the weeds that have like the stickers on them, so they hurt. You got to get down like real low to pull them out. So I've been doing that, kind of fun. But we are filling up the garden. I still haven't mulched or laid down fabric in that garden, and I'm not going to get to it today. I'm waiting for cooler temperatures, you guys. It is hot when I wake up in the morning and hot when I go to bed at night, and I'm just not feeling that kind of garden maintenance right now, so I'm just going to wait. But I've been pulling weeds like crazy and grass like crazy. So anyways, we're gonna do a garden tour. We're gonna see how everything's growing, and we're gonna have some fun with filling up the garden with free plants. So anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Filming when it's humid outside. My camera always fogs up. I brought my hibiscus out, or downstairs, or Ernie did, bless his heart. He carried them all the way downstairs. They are very heavy, and they're doing beautifully now. They did not love their life when they were up on the balcony. They hated it. You can hear the lawnmower in the back. Mainly because I was forgetting to water them because they were upstairs on the balcony, and they were getting wind blown. In the bottom here, I had planted some impatiens and some star jasmine vines, or star jasmine, and ever since I moved these down, these were like, we thought the impatiens were dead and the star jasmine, but it's getting all new growth and doing really good, and even the base of the hibiscus is getting some new leaf growth on it, but they're doing beautifully. They love it. I have one here and one over there. That one gets more sun. Over here, this one gets more sun than the one behind me, but they're doing so beautifully now. So my idea with these for winter is I'm going to buy those bases with wheels on them. We're going to get these in the garage and overwinter them in the garage, and put them on those platforms that have wheels, so that when we do have sunny days, I can wheel them out and let them get some sunshine. So I'm hoping to be able to save these and overwinter them in the garage. We'll see. But anyways, I wanted to show you guys those because that's super exciting. Let's go take a look around at what's growing and how it's all doing. So first off, I have to show you my mandandilla. I'm calling it my Dr. Seuss plants because it is reaching so tall. It's probably about, how tall would you say this is, Ernie? 7 foot? Yeah. This is about 7 foot tall, the very top, but it has just loved its life here and doing so good. So we're loving that. And we have this one over here doing beautifully. I love these blooms. They're so pretty, so tropical. Now back home in California, these you could grow all year long, but here I'm hearing they are annuals. So I'm gonna try something to help these come back next year. Ernie was saying we should just put them in the garage. Well, no, Ernie wants to put these in the garage too. I was going to cut them all the way down to soil level, plant my fall plants in here, and hopefully that would insulate the root system enough over winter to have it come back. But Ernie's thinking he wants to put these in the garage too, the same we're doing with the hibiscus, so we shall see. Here is the other hibiscus, doing beautifully. Oh my gosh, it's a messy plant though. But here are the impatiens, and look at all the new jasmine leaf growth, and even the hibiscus on both of them are getting leaf growth down below. So they're doing really good. They love it here. They're living their best life. Love them. Here are the hostas that I transplanted, and it's getting new growth. You can see down beneath. There we go. It's got new leaves in here. These are still some of the stressed ones. I just went ahead and left them on there until some of these bigger ones get, you know, until they get bigger, and then I'll take those off. But it's doing really good. This one was a little bit more damaged than the other one when I transplanted, but it's getting new leaves as well and doing really good. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. Like this one needs to come off. You know, I'll take these off, but it's getting new growth, and they're doing good. So I think I saved them. So I'm happy about that. Here are my hydrangeas. So I've been cutting back. I don't know how to prune these during the year. I've never worked with these before, so it's all trial and error. My instinct, though, when I go to cut, is to cut like, you know, right above a leaf structure. And so that's what I've been doing, and it's been working out beautifully because they've been putting out new leaf growth as I've been cutting them back. You can see down below. But this is what I'm dealing with, and I didn't get any of the beautiful pink in them. I mean, I guess I got a little bit, but I guess it's because it's been so hot. I'm not sure, but that is what I'm dealing with. So I don't know if this is normal or what, but I'm going to have to cut all these off. The ones that look really bad, I'm going to take off today. So we'll take care of that. This one, same, not quite as bad, but it's got a bunch of new leaf growth. But this is what I was telling you I think I did. I over fertilized. Bad girl. So taking note for that for next year, so I won't be doing that again. But I'm still alive, kicking, and doing good, putting on new growth, so that's good. The boxwoods are growing. Loving that. Probably won't give those a trim this year. Wait until next year to do that in spring. But here's my Veronica. It's starting to die out a little bit. It still looks really good, but I have like blooms that are, you know, starting to die out. That one there kind of fizzled out. I've been cutting that back as it's been dying, branches. But it's still looking really good. The sweet bay, this sucker has grown probably a foot, if not more, since we planted it. It's loving its best life, and it bloomed. Or is this a bloom here? I think that's a bloom that's going to be happening. I'm not sure if it bloomed and if that's what it left, but I did miss a bloom over here, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But yeah, I have a bloom. It's going to be happening here, and it's just doing so good, you guys. It loves it here. Loves it. These hydrangeas are doing much better than the others. Did not add any fertilizer. That's why I was saying I think I over-fertilized the others. I got to get these watered in really quick. But this is what we're doing. I got to get these watered in. Oh, thank you. Ernie's adding water to them. So all I did, you guys, is, and we'll do it, I'll show you. I was watching so I saw a woman who took clippings of her Coleus, and she just plopped them in the ground rather than putting them in a jar and letting them root. And she said that they did great. So I decided to go ahead and give that a try, because you're going to see my Coleus in the front are huge. And then you guys might recognize my bubble gum. It was root bound, severely root bound, and not doing well at all. And I went to go pull it out. I thought I was going to get pieces. It came out in one big huge chunk. It's ginormous. It's so big. And I just plopped it here in the ground, and it's growing and doing wonderfully. It recovered. So it still has a ways to go. It was really root bound, you guys. So I cut some of it off around the edges, and it's loving it here. So another borrowed plant. I didn't even bury it. I just set the whole thing down in here, and it's doing really good, surprisingly enough. But I'm hoping that her experiment works, and these get some water and they pop back up. We'll see. They're a really forgiving plant, is what I've noticed. So we'll see. We'll come back after they've had some water and see what they do later. See if they pop back up, because they're very wilty right now, which I totally anticipated. My phlox are doing really good. This one and this one. This one, not so much. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this one. I don't know if it doesn't get enough water. I don't know what the deal is with that one, but this one is looking a little worse for the wear. So I'm not exactly sure what its issue is. But yeah, this garden is looking rather full. I can't wait to get it mulched. The Coleus in the pot needed a drink of water this morning. That sucker dries out very quickly. So then we're over here at our beautiful Natchez crepe myrtle, which is starting to sprout some flowers. So that makes me very happy. I think the last time we talked about it, I was showing you guys, but it's got buds on it all over the tree. So we'll see if I get a little show. I see them everywhere. Every once in a while I see a beetle on them, but for the most part they're, I think I just saw one fly on there. No, that was a wasp. Okay. For the most part, I think they're done with my tree, at least this year. So I decided we're going to keep it. Next year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to net it and let it do its thing while the beetles are in full force, and then remove the net when I see fit. So that's what I think I'm going to do. But yeah, now it's recovered and doing really good. Now my balloon flowers are doing beautifully, and they've doubled, well, not doubled in size. This lavender over here is doing really good. That one, not so much. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's getting the same amount of water. This one gets a little bit more sun, just a little bit, than that one. You can see it's in the sun right now. This one will be soon. So I'm not exactly sure what's happening with that one. So we'll see how it fares. But everything is looking really good. Loving it. I mean, you can see they've grown because they're now starting to touch, and I love it. So very exciting, very exciting. Now somebody told me in the comments that they spread the seeds from the flowers, and I'm not sure where the seeds are. So if you can tell me where I find the seeds, that would be great. So there's those. My arborvitae are doing what they've been doing. I'm not stressing out over them anymore. You know, I have my little patches of dry, but for the most part they're doing good. Been keeping them watered because it's been so hot. Our new hedge is doing beautifully. I'm starting to see some new growth on it, on different plants, and they are just doing beautifully. They love it here. So there's that. Now let's go take a look at the front. So I wanted to show you guys. Can you get up there? You can look in this. So we have a robin's nest in our front yard maple tree. I wish they would have used the birdhouse, but they did not. They're a rather large bird. So there's a couple babies in there. I don't know if you guys can see them. I don't want to disturb them too much. Hopefully you guys can see them. I don't know if there's more than one. We know for sure there's one. I hear Mom. She's not happy with me being near her. But anyways, the maple itself is doing really good. I see some dry on it, Ern.
Where?
See that one branch? I wonder if the Japanese maple's got, or the Japanese, yeah. Anyways, the maple's doing really good. Ernie gave it a nice trim. You guys saw early spring, got rid of all the dead wood, and it just filled in beautifully. There's Mom. There's Mom. Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. Okay, I gotta get away. But I wanted to show you the petunias are doing really well and filling in. So, loving that. Okay, we are up front in my front garden, and it is my pride and joy. This is the garden I'm the most proud of because it's the first one that I put in. And a lot of these plants are new to me. 95% of these plants I've never grown before. So I'm pretty proud of this garden because it really put on a wonderful show, and it continues to do that for me and just makes me so proud. So unfortunately, the bird bath is now empty of my my Super Tunia Vista bubblegum, which was gorgeous. I put a picture on Instagram to show it in all of its glory. It was just beautiful. It was a showstopper for sure. So anyways, we're going to take a closer look at this garden and maybe talk about some of the things I would do differently now that I know and I have experience with these plants. So first and foremost, can we just look at the petunia bed? And just, I mean, I'm in awe. It's beautiful, you guys. Just beautiful. When you catch this view from the street, this and those together are just beautiful. So, anyways, they're just loving it. The hotter it gets, the better they do. They just love it. I have my woodland sage. I planted one very early in the spring here. I didn't have any experience with it, and it just spread out and did beautifully. So definitely we'll be adding that to my garden next year. And then I have my pinnacle hydrangeas, which you can see are starting to turn brown. They got the green color and then immediately went to brown. But I've been cutting the beautiful white blooms. Look at this one, you guys. Oh, is it not just gorgeous? This is what I want my whole tree to look like. But I've been cutting them, deadheading them, and I'm getting new growth throughout the whole thing. That whole thing is new, so it's doing beautifully. Just not the white blooms that I wanted. And we'll go over and talk about the Coleus directly behind it. Look at these Coleus. I mean, you guys, I have never grown Coleus in my life, and I am just completely in awe over them. They are huge, huge. Just beautiful. We'll be planting those next year for sure. And then we have the bed of, these are the proven winners, woodland sage, and it just put on such a show this year. It's starting to, I mean, it's still giving me a show, but it's starting to die back in some areas, which is totally normal. And then my sedums, which are, oh my gosh, they're just so beautiful. Probably next year, I'll transplant them closer to the edge here. I thought I got them, you know, far enough back to where it would, you know, they wouldn't come into the grass, but I'd like to see them kind of drape over the curbing a little bit. So I'm going to leave them this year, but next year I'll probably pull them up and move them closer to the edge a little bit, maybe about 3 inches, so that they kind of spill over. I love that look. Oh, so beautiful. And then my camellias, I have one here and one here. I got no blooms this summer or spring, but we planted them pretty late. But I'm hearing that they bloom in fall. They're doing beautifully. They've got a ton of new growth, so they are in a good spot. They do love, you know, they do love where they're at. So I'm just hoping that I get some blooms on them this fall. So I have one here and then one over here. I never planted anything in this spot here, but that's okay. Maybe this fall I'll pop some mums in here. And right back here, we'll see what I end up losing. I'm sure the Coleus will go away. And I'll have to fill in the bed with some fall and winter plants. Here's my other pinnacle hydrangea. And it's doing the same as the other. It's turned that beautiful green color, which I love, and then started browning out. I just cut off some blooms for the inside last week. But a ton of new growth on it. Loving it. This is how I'm telling you I've been cutting. I hope I'm doing that right. I don't know if that is the way I've been cutting, but it's been encouraging new growth. So maybe I'm doing something right. I have these junipers. The builder had planted this one and this one. I added this one. I wanted like 3 clumps. I like to add, like, you know, design in my garden, like different shapes. So I thought once these get mature, I can kind of round them out and make them look, you know, like 3 balls on this side. I don't know, we'll see, but they're doing wonderful. These two took a huge hit when we had that winter frost. I thought we lost them, but I was patient and they came back. And now they're all 3 the same color and doing beautifully. My daylilies over here that I transplanted, lovely. They're doing beautifully. That brings me to the daylilies on the other side that I transplanted. I went ahead and cut them back and cleaned out the garden bed last week, so I cut them back, but they're doing really good. They had a bunch of new sprouts, but I figured I would go ahead and cut them back and give them a little bit more of a structure at the bottom to hold up the new blooms. So that is in fact what I did. And they're just doing beautifully. You can see my tree has already started to grow again, and I just gave that a nice haircut a couple weeks ago. This is what my impatiens look like when the sun is hitting them directly, but if we water them right this minute, they'll pop right back up and look like that. It's crazy. I'm in shock over my impatiens. These must be retaining more water. You can see they're doing so much better than those. And I'm still in shock that I can grow impatiens in full sun here. It's mind-blowing. Look at them all. You can see they're in full sun right now. And they will be all day. And they just love it. My columbine that I cut back, this one is, you know, it's dying again. Not dying, but it's dying back again. This one put on another show. They put on another show. If I were to cut them back again, I'll have them all through August. If I keep trimming them back, they're doing beautifully. That fern, I can't figure it out, you guys, but can we talk about these Coleus? I mean, they've got to be about 2.5 feet to almost 3 feet tall. And I know the camera doesn't pick that up, but wow. Now this sedum down here, you can barely see it now because it's covered by the Coleus, is doing beautifully ever since it got shaded with the Coleus. So it just started putting on a ton of growth. So that's interesting to me because it was doing good in sun, but yeah. My hostas are doing beautiful. You can see they're in full sun and they're fine. They love it. So strange. But look at these Coleus. I'm not going to stop talking about them. They are magnificent. Magnificent. If you have not grown Coleus before, you need to. They are just amazing plants. Amazing. And then we have my impatient pots over here. And these are the pots that I pulled those hostas out of, and look how well they recovered. They're just gorgeous and beautiful. My ferns are doing lovely. I felt bad. I was in my office and I saw doves flying in and out of this one, and they were just starting to put a nest in here. So I had to take the fern down and set it on the ground so they would stop. And because they were just starting, you know, there were just a few twigs in there. But I was like, no, not in my fern. Just because they make a mess, you know, the babies make a mess. I would have had bird poop everywhere. Here's the fern that I transplanted. And look at that. New growth and loving its life here. This is a pot that I will definitely be bringing indoors over winter. I love this plant, but it loves it here on the porch. So I'll take you guys in closer, but you can see how tall this Coleus is, so I don't mind cutting from it. So all I'm doing is coming over here and finding, you know, where I don't mind cutting. And then I'm going down just like that. And then I'll remove these leaves before I put it in the ground. So I end up with that in the ground. And I'll show you guys how I do that. Do this one here. Dig a little hole just like this. Took my clipping and I just removed the lower leaves just like that. Cut off a little bit more. And I just buried it just like that. That's it. That's all I did. It'll be interesting to see as we move like into a week. And I'll make sure to give you guys updates to see how they do. But yeah, this is supposed to give me free Coleus. Okay, you guys, so if this is a successful project for me this year, then you know I'm going to be doing it next year. But we'll see. The garden is starting to look full. I've borrowed a lot from the front, which I think is fabulous. So this is borrowed from the front. These are borrowed from the front, and now the Coleus. This one is not doing good. This phlox. If somebody can tell me what's wrong with it, I'd be so happy. But other than that, this is looking just gorgeous. I hope you guys can see that in the camera. It's looking fabulous. And like I said, in my next couple videos, maybe in like a week, I'll give you guys an update on the Coleus to see if this in fact did work. I'm always willing to try stuff like this because, you know, if it works, fabulous, I didn't lose anything. If it doesn't, you know, I mean, if it works, then yay, and if it doesn't work, then I haven't lost anything. It'll also be interesting to see if that one does better than these, because they're not in full sun. These are all in full sun. That one is not going to be in full sun. So always like to test stuff out and see how it does. But anyways, there we go. Okay, so that is my garden so far this year, and I just wanted to talk to you about some things that I would do differently next year, that I will be doing differently next year. I overplanted the front garden, and that is because I didn't have experience with a lot of the plants, so I didn't anticipate how big, even though I read all of the tags. I just wasn't sure that I was going to have that kind of success, because as you well know, if you're somebody who plants plants, it could say it gets 18 inches wide, but depending on your soil and, you know, water and all of those things, you know, it may not make it to that actual mature. Well, it turns out everything that I planted is growing or has grown to its complete mature width. Now, I enjoy that look. I absolutely love a full, I enjoy not seeing any of the mulch, but I also want, when I plant a plant, to have it showcase. I don't want it to get, you know, I don't want it to mix with other plants and not get to see. And you can see with the Coleus in the front garden, it's definitely growing within the holly. So I just did not anticipate them to get that big. And I had watched many videos on Coleus, and there's a lot of you know, people that will say Coleus doesn't do well in the sun. Baloney. That is, for some reason, everything that I plant in the front yard that gets full sun that's not supposed to be in full sun all day or more than 6 hours, is doing fabulous. And I don't know, I'm not going to question it. That is just my luck this year. I may not have that kind of luck next year, but that's this year. So that is one lesson that I learned. With the Coleus, I want them to be the star of the show, and so next year when I plant them, I will definitely make sure that they are on their own and they're able to do what they do and just really give a beautiful show. The Super Tinea Vista bubblegum that I planted in the bird bath did beautifully, but if you guys remember and watch that video, I planted several in that dish. It didn't need more than maybe 2, if that. I could have probably done away with 1 and done just beautiful, because I planted so many, it got root bound and it stunted its growth at that point. So I got probably about a foot of overhang like I wanted in that bird bath garden, but I didn't get the show exactly that I anticipated, and that's my own fault for overplanting it. Also, it's a bird bath, so it's very shallow. So the roots don't have, you know, deep to go. They have to go this way, which is why 1 probably would have been sufficient. So I'll keep that in mind for next year. Fertilizing. I've watched so many videos on, you know, growing and, you know, how often you fertilize. I think I'm not really familiar with the types of fertilizer, and so I think that with the 2 pinnacle hydrangeas that I planted in the back, I over fertilized them, I think because I fertilized these 2 times too close together. I had myself on a schedule, but obviously they didn't need it the second time, and so I'm just thankful that they're recovering and they're gonna be okay. And the reason why I know that is because the ones in the front I only did 1 time. I didn't do them the second time. So no, I didn't do them the first time I did these. I did them the second time, but they only got 1 dose of fertilizer, and that's all they needed. They came beautifully, you know, fertilized from the nursery. So apparently that garden up front is well amended. The soil's well amended because the builder did put in a beautiful garden according to them, a beautiful garden. And so the soil was well amended, and then we continued to amend the soil, and so it's a really good soil level. Back here, it's all brand new. So, you know, I think that over the next 2 years, things are going to really take root and really get to know its own environment, and I think everything is going to do really well. So, and then I think because, you know, I'm so new to this garden zone, and I think I don't even know if I've mentioned that I'm, you know, garden zone 7B, and I'm in Middle Tennessee, and a lot of the plants here, or the growing season here, is much shorter than what I'm used to. In California, I could go to the nursery 12 months out of the year and buy whatever I wanted and planted it. I lived in Southern California, so you know, I was kind of spoiled there, and you know, we didn't get the really hot weather. Well, we got hot weather, but it wasn't as dramatic as here. So Yeah. I also had irrigation back home. I don't have irrigation here. That is something we are considering putting in because it's a lot of work. Just gardening or just watering the gardens in general for me is a lot of work. I've gotten really creative though with sprinklers, and we've put timers on them, and so that has made my life a lot easier. But they're not getting enough water, and typically it's my fault, you know, that I don't come out and I don't, you know, do it enough. So I need to, we need to get irrigation. So I was very spoiled in California and had irrigation. Here I do not. So next year, in spring, I will make sure as well. I also didn't get things mulched in the backyard fast enough. The mulch, you know, helps retain or keep down the weeds, and it also helps to retain the moisture in the gardens. And I don't have my larger part of the garden mulched yet, and that, you know, is something that I will make sure to do next year a lot earlier. The front garden got mulched right away as soon as we did it, and like I said, that garden is just magnificent. I mean, I'm so proud of that garden. I couldn't be prouder of a garden. In my video that I put out showing you guys the beginning to end of our back garden, as of now, I mentioned that I was going to be doing some winter sowing, and I am indeed going to be doing that. Number one, because I want to just give it a try. I want to challenge myself to do that. Number two, I want to save money next year. Gardening, it can be a very expensive thing, so I'm really looking at ways to borrow from my own garden and grow my own plants. And I think that that is something that, you know, I can master. I think it's something that I can be good at. So I'm going to be doing some winter sowing the old school way in milk jugs. And if you guys are not familiar, if you're somebody who's not into gardening, you just happen to stumble across this video, you plant in the milk jug and put it out in your garden, and you just overwinter it, and you just let Mother Nature take over and do, and you check on it every once in a while to make sure that, you know, it's staying moist. But it's essentially a greenhouse. And what you end up with is a beautiful spring garden ready to be planted into the ground in these greenhouses, hopefully. That is my hope for winter sowing. So it's going to be my first time ever doing that. I'm also going to try and grow my own. I'm going to be doing this probably in the next couple weeks. Hopefully I'll capture it on video. I want to try and propagate my own hydrangeas so I can have more hydrangeas in the garden next year. So I'm going to try and save as much money as possible next year in gardening. I want to have a beautiful garden with the least amount of money spent. One of the things when I watch garden videos is, you know, of course the very large channels, they are working with proven winners and they get these shipments of proven winners. Or you have gardeners that are constantly going out and shopping. I don't have the ability to do that. Everything is very expensive. You know, I mean, I could, I just don't want to. I don't want to have this. I don't want to drown a bunch of money into my garden needlessly. If I can propagate my own plants, if I can grow my own plants, and I can have a beautiful garden, I think I would be that much more proud of the garden knowing that I grew those. I grew those plants, you know, I propagated those plants. So that is my goal for next year. So that's going to be pretty exciting. So I definitely will be making a video, and I will be, you know, showing you guys. The video will come out in next spring, but I definitely will video how I, you know, put the plants together. Like, it'll be a series, and then we'll get to see the plants next spring and see how I did. And so I think that that's pretty exciting. As far as the hydrangeas, I think I have enough time to propagate some of those. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time doing it. I'm going to try like maybe 3 or 4, and I'm going to see how I do with those, and if it's something that I feel confident about, and they get enough growth on them to get them in the ground and get some roots. Hopefully I'm not too late. I may be too late already. Because I think our first frost date is like October 3rd or something like that. So I don't know. We'll see. We shall see how I do with that. That's a dream of mine, is to propagate my own hydrangeas, because I've watched many videos, and that's what I do. I spend a lot of time, because I'm not a new gardener. I am new to gardening in the South. I'm new to gardening in this zone, so I have a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn in this zone. I'm learning that I need to water a lot more than I did, you know, in my previous gardens. I'm learning that, you know, certain plants are considered annuals here, and back home they're perennials. I'm learning so much, you know, and I've never been a huge fertilizer, somebody who fertilized on a you know, on a normal basis. I've never had that experience. I never had to do that. I always put plants in the ground, fertilized them once, and you know, that was it. And you know, maybe like a year later I'd add more fertilizer to them, maybe once a year. And here I feel like you have to do, like, I don't know, maybe I needed to do it back home too. I'm just saying, I'm learning a lot is what I'm trying to say about gardening, and I'm loving every minute of it. I think that it's a lot of fun. So anyways, those are some things that I've learned. Those are some things that I would change about you know, about gardening for next year, and those are some things that I'm very excited about for my garden next year. Oh, and then also I don't want to forget, so I think next year what I'm gonna do, I don't remember if I said this or not. Maybe I did. I said that I was gonna net the crepe myrtle. I probably did. And then, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this now in case I didn't say it. We're gonna net that crepe myrtle, and we're gonna let it do its thing, and then remove the net once the Japanese beetles have kind of subsided, which they have tremendously. So they've moved on, which makes me happy. So I did find out with the Japanese beetle problem, somebody told me that they put things in their yard to attract the birds, because you know, the birds feed off of the beetles. That's what they eat, you know, and other insects as well. So I'm thinking next year I'll probably do like a bird feeder somewhere, you know, away from the house because of rodents. But I will do a bird feeder somewhere to attract the birds to my yard, maybe near the crepe myrtle, so that it'll, you know, it'll help maybe naturally to help with that problem. I didn't enjoy having to use that 7 dust at all. I don't like putting chemicals on my plants at all. I don't want to. I was desperate, so I did it, but I don't like that at all. I don't want to. So if I can find natural ways to take care of an issue in my garden, then that is what I'm going to do. So somebody did tell me that if I attract birds, have something in my yard that attracts the birds will help with the Japanese beetle populations. Anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. Say hello to me. I love chatting with you guys in the comments. I gotta go. We need a shower, and Ernie's hanging up curtains today. He's hanging up curtains in my bedroom, and we are hanging curtains in the front room. You guys are gonna want to tune in to see those. Anyways, I'll be filming that for a separate video. I want to thank you guys again for staying till the end, and we will see you in the next video. Bye!